Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I'm Pastor Joe Fox. I had a test question in grad school, and it was a World War I an accident? Discuss. So you're right for an hour. World War III is fixing to start, and the U.S., in my opinion, caused it. Probably on purpose. Which, gets to my darker side, right? When I'm thinking those harsh thoughts. Let's do a rundown, shall we? The world according to Pastor Joe. It all started with Cain and Abel, but that's a bit far back to go right now. Let's go back to when the U.S. took the decision to overthrow the Assad regime. Bashar al-Assad, the president, former eye doctor of Syria. We decided we didn't want him in power anymore. Why did we decide that? Do you know why? Do you know why we decided to topple Assad? The excuse we always use is that we support democracy, which is the biggest lie in the world, or we wouldn't be allies with Saudi Arabia. The U.S. has never really adequately explained why, the U.S. administration, why we still seek to overthrow Assad. I believe it's for two reasons. Number one is that he's an ally of Russia, which we're going to get to, and we've been sticking it to Russia ever since the wall came down, which is when we should have made friends with them. And two, black gold, Texas tea, oil, right? We want oil. We want a pipeline to go right through Syria. And Assad's like, ain't going to happen. We want control of that black stuff. And we're trying to start World War III because somehow we think we'll come out on top. So what's the U.S. do? The U.S. decides that we're going to overthrow Assad. I say we because I am an American, right? So just to allow me that. We decide we're going to overthrow Assad, and to that end, we help support, create, train, supply rebels in Syria. We do that through our CIA, lots of bags of money, and special forces going in and training the guys to overthrow Assad. The good Islamics. And what happens is that one of those groups, because see, there's lots of different groups. It's just like in America. People talk about a civil war in America, and some people do. The people who are really into this Bundy thing. Yeah, it's going to be us against them. No, it's going to be us against them and them and them and them. And that warlord over there wants his little piece of the pie. And it's ugly, messy. You don't want a civil war. And so these groups are not only fighting the Assad regime, they tell the U.S., yes, we're fighting the Assad regime, give me more AKs or, rockets or mines or explosives or air cover. But really, they're all trying to set themselves up for when this war's over so that they're in positions of power. And so to that end, they fight each other also. I don't want you getting too strong because I'm going to be the one leading this thing when we all come out the other side. That happens. One of those groups that rose up was ISIS. Dun, dun, dun! ISIS! The world's nemesis, this arch villain, right? And now, ISIS took over chunks of Iraq. They're taking over chunks of Syria. They're on the move, man. And so, now, hey, cool, that's good for the military-industrial complex. We have another enemy now, ISIS. Yeah, we got to fight ISIS. We started ISIS, right? I talked about that in another video. Okay, so that's what's going on from the U.S. perspective. But really, I think we are poking it to Russia. Because, see, Russia, we're in there fighting ISIS now. Now the big thing is you don't hear so much about the U.S. fighting Assad. We're saying we're fighting ISIS. And every now and then you'll hear, yeah, we're still trying to work against the Assad regime, but we've really toned that down. Well, Russia comes around. They come into Syria, their ally. Why is Syria Russia's ally? Because they have a warm weather port, because Russia doesn't have a whole lot of allies, so, any friend when you don't have many is a good friend, because the U.S. is trying to do something there, so Russia's like, yeah, we'll go help the guys you're trying to overthrow. I mean, there's all of that going on, right? But the warm weather port's big for Russia. They really need that. And so they're there. And it's it's their entree. It's their little place where they can be in a very important region in the world right now, the Middle East, right? So there you go. That's why Russia's there. So Russia goes in under the auspices that we're here to fight ISIS, which is just out of control. Now everybody knows, yeah, not really. that's the excuse they use, because these politicians, these fat politicians eating their croissants and marmalade, they all tell lies to each other and their people. So they go in to fight ISIS. They're there to support Assad. The first targets they bomb are not ISIS. They're the rebels we're supporting, right? Which, makes sense to me. All right, so now we have the U.S. on one side of this conflict and Russia on the other, and we're very close. It's not like we're just supporting people that are fighting. We're actually in there, right? And the Russians are in there, which makes it very dangerous. When you get the two biggest boys on the block getting ready to get in a fight, things could get ugly fast. But wait, it's not over. So the one dynamic there is East-West, and that's what's going on. There's another dynamic, and that's the Sunni-Shia dynamic, right? Islam is, allow me this. I'm painting with a broad brush. Islam is roughly divided into two main groups, the Sunnis and the Shias. The Shias are, they're the real bad ones. Whatever. Al-Qaeda's not Shia. ISIS is not Shia. Shia is Iraq. Excuse me. No, it's not. Shia is Iran, right? Iran is a Shia nation. And the people in power in Syria, Assad, is Shia. So Iran, Syria, Shia. Increasingly, huge chunks of Iraq are becoming Shia, right? You really, as Americans, we don't understand, Christians fighting each other. The Irish do. The Irish understand Protestants versus Catholics. Us in America, who it's like, yeah, my friend's a Catholic, my other friend's a Baptist, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It matters. And Sunnis hate Shias, and Shias hate Sunnis, right? As much as they hate, the infidel in the West. They won't unite to fight us. That's how much they hate each other, okay? And so Syria is a client state, if you will, of Iran. And ISIS, being Sunni, is against the Shia administration, right? So there's that little thing going on, which is why Saudi Arabia recently got into the act. See, Saudi Arabia is now acting on their own. They're starting to, feel their strength. They've been in Yemen. They're like, hey, that didn't go so bad. Now they're going over there to Syria, and they're kind of like looking around going, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. They know the U.S. is weak, a weak sister, because Obama's made us weak on purpose. And so they're like, yeah, we're going to do what we want. What's Saudi Arabia want? They want control of the oil, number one. Number two, they want Syria, Assad, out of power because he's a Shia, and Saudi Arabia is Sunnis. And so they're in there for that reason. So they're in there mixing it up. I want to get to Turkey. I just want to make sure I'm going in a logical order here. Try to keep up. It's a maelstrom, right? Okay, so what's Turkey doing there? Well, Turkey is Sunni and Syria is Shia, but that's not why they're there. Turkey's there because of the Kurds. Oh, that's the third thing. See, we've got East-West, Russia, U.S. in Syria. We have Sunni Shia, which is, I explained that already. You have this third thing called the Kurds. Now, nominally, the Kurds are also Sunni Muslims, but they're really low-key Muslims. I like the Kurds. I think they're cool. We, the U.S., has screwed over the Kurds on multiple occasions. We support them and then we forget them. We support them and we forget them. We flew combat missions into southern Kurdistan, northern Iraq, to feed the Kurds at one point. And then we ignore them while, Saddam Hussein just slaughtered them by the boatload. Whatever. The Kurds have a vision of Kurdistan, their own country, because you see the Western powers carved up that part of the world with no regards to anything, really, and the Kurds were left holding the bag. There's like, hey, where's our land? We had a whole country, where to go? And so they want Kurdistan. Right now the Kurds are located in northern Iraq. They want that chunk of Iraq. They want a little slice of Syria, which is what they're doing right now. There's all this chaos going on in Syria. They're like, hey, this is our time. Let's move in. And the Kurds are actually a good military. They're pretty good. They don't have a lot of higher-end supplies, but their fighters are good, unlike many other Muslim militaries. They're good. They want a little piece of Iran. They want a third of Turkey. So Turkey knows that the stronger the Kurds get, at one point they're going to try and take over a third of Turkey. Therefore, Turkey is against the Kurds. So Turkey sees the Kurds making these gains on its southern border in Syria. You might want to get a map out. making these gains, and Turkey's like, oh, no, I cannot allow them to gain a foothold in Syria on my southern border because they're going to start attacking me next. And so that's why Turkey's really getting involved. They don't want the Kurds getting strong, so they're bombing the Kurds, who the U.S. is kind of supporting. Right? At this juncture in history, we're kind of supporting the Kurds. Because we don't mind if Syria is taken over by part of the Kurds. At least it's not controlled by Assad. And we kind of like the Kurds, even though we mess them over. So Turkey's in there. Here comes the problem. That guy, Erdogan, he's not quite right in the head. I think he's kind of like Obama. I think he wants this thing to go critical. If you just watch some things he does, he shot down a Russian jet, talked about that earlier. He's massing his troops on the border, and he's going to get in a direct conflict, I think, with Russia. Turkey and Russia. Problem here, potential huge problem. Turkey's part of NATO. NATO needs to kick Turkey the heck out. We should have never let them in back there in, what was that, 51 or something, whatever. Right around Korea. Whatever. NATO has some clause that an attack on one is an attack on all. Now, politicians have a way of spinning things. They could, they could mix it up, Turkey and Russia and Syria, and the politicians could say, well, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't really an attack on Turkey. Whatever, but it also could be. And so then that gets us to World War III if you've got NATO and Russia, because if you're attacking us, we can attack you back anywhere. If you're punching me in the shoulder, I can kick you in the knee. You're attacking Turkey down here, we can attack Russia in Moscow. I mean, that's the calculus, and that's how this thing can go out of control. And so you got the Kurds. So you have the Kurds, you have the East-West, you have the Sunni Shia. You got Saudi Arabia in there flexing their muscles, saying we're going to do what we want. Here's another thing, that you have the Unspokens. So there's really 4 factions: East-West, Sunni Shia, the Kurds, and the Unspokens. The Unspokens are Israel and Iran. They're not really directly involved in this conflict, are they? Israel and Syria are arch enemies, right? Syria, just like Iran, wants Israel whacked off the map. And Israel knows that. Iran, is no friend of Israel. Iran is trying really hard to develop nukes. We're pretty sure, right? Israel has nukes. And both of them are just sitting back going, Both of them can enter this fray whenever they want. They have the capability. Both of them do. This is a tangled web over there. Things to be keeping your eye on. Not to mention, don't worry about North Korea. They're just blowing smoke. That's what happens with North Korea. Everyone starts paying attention to what we've just been talking about the last couple minutes, and North Korea's like, hey, over here. Hey, I'm important. I'm dangerous. I'm scary. You got to look at me. Please. Samuel Jackson, Negro, please. All right. Hey, the world's crazy. Start thinking about how that's going to affect you. I might do another video. This one's too long already, on some things you can do and such vis-a-vis the oncoming, possibly, World War III. Be safe. I may see you out there.